In the year 73 BC, a group of slaves, men owned like furniture, trained to kill each other for a laughing crowd, picked up the knives from their own kitchen and decided they would rather die free than live as property. What happened next terrified the most powerful empire on earth for 2 years. Rome tried to erase his name from history. Tonight, we say it anyway: Spartacus. To understand Spartacus, you first have to understand what Rome did for fun. In the arenas of the Republic, men were forced to fight, often to the death, while crowds cheered. These were the gladiators, mostly slaves, prisoners, and the condemned, human beings, turned into entertainment. The historian Barry Strauss, in his study of the revolt, describes a system built to strip a man of everything: his freedom, his name, his future, leaving only his body as a weapon. One of those men refused to accept it, and in doing so, he came closer to bringing Rome to its knees than almost anyone in its history. He came from Thrace, a rugged land to the northeast of the Greek world. The ancient accounts are frustratingly thin on his early life, but Plutarch tells us he was a man of great spirit and strength, and, unusually for a slave, intelligent and cultured, more Greek than his origin. Some sources suggest he had once served as a soldier, possibly even in Rome's own auxiliary forces, before he was captured, enslaved, and sold. If true, it means Rome took a trained fighting man and put a sword back in his hand, a costly mistake.
You will not break me! A strong one. I bid 500. 600! Cowards, face me! 700. He's mine.
He was bought for the arena and sent to a gladiator school in the city of Capua, the property of a man named Lentulus Batiatus. A gladiator school, a ludus, was a prison that trained you to die well. The men were fed, exercised, and kept strong because healthy bodies made a better show. They slept locked away and every day drilled for the moment they'd be marched out to kill or be killed for a stranger's amusement. According to the sources, the conditions at Batiatus's school were harsh even by Roman standards. The men confined closely, treated as livestock. And inside those walls, Spartacus began to do something dangerous. He began to talk, to plan. Around 200 men agreed to break out. The plot was betrayed before they were ready, so the ones who could moved anyway, that very night.
Grab everything, we break out now! For freedom! To the gates! No stopping! We're with them! Fight!
They had no weapons, so they took what they could reach, knives and skewers from the kitchen, and fought their way out. Plutarch records that around 78 men escaped that night.
Seize the weapons! Arm yourselves! For freedom and! No retreat, fight! We are armed to battle!
On the road, luck found them. They seized a wagon carrying gladiators' weapons and armor. Suddenly, the escaped slaves were armed like the fighters they'd been trained to be. They chose leaders, Spartacus and 2 Gauls named Crixus and Onamos, and they ran for high ground. They made their camp on the slopes of a mountain overlooking the bay, a mountain that, in that century, was quiet. Its name was Vesuvius. Rome did not take it seriously at first. A band of runaway slaves was a police problem, not a war. They sent a commander named Claudius Glaber with a few thousand men, who found the rebels camped on the mountain and simply blocked the only path down, starved them out, easy. But the mountain was covered in wild vines, and Spartacus had an idea. His men wove the vines into long ladders, and under cover of night, climbed down the sheer cliff face the Romans had left unguarded, because no one believed it could be done. They came around the mountain and fell on the Roman camp from behind. The soldiers, caught completely by surprise, were routed. The slaves took their weapons, their supplies, and their reputation. Sit with that image. Men who owned nothing, armed with kitchen knives, using vines to outthink a professional army. The message spread across Italy faster than any Roman feared. If they could do it, why couldn't we? And that was Rome's real nightmare. This was farmland worked by tens of thousands of slaves and herdsmen. As word spread, they came running from the fields to join him. The band of 78 swelled into an army. Ancient estimates run wildly, but at its height, it may have numbered anywhere from 70,000 to over 100,000 people. Rome sent real armies now, including both consuls of the year, its highest commanders. Spartacus beat them. Again and again, this former slave outmaneuvered and defeated the finest Rome could field. But an army of the desperate is hard to hold together. His fellow leader Crixus broke away with a large force and was caught and destroyed by the Romans. It was the first crack, and it revealed a question that would decide everything. What, exactly, was Spartacus fighting for? Here the historians disagree, and honestly say so. Spartacus marched his army north, toward the Alps. The most sympathetic reading, and the one Barry Strauss favors, is the simplest. He wanted to reach the mountains, cross them, and let his people scatter home, to Gaul, to Thrace, to freedom. And then, at the very edge of escape, he turned back, south, into Italy. Nobody fully knows why. Maybe his men, drunk on victory and plunder, refused to leave. Maybe he believed they'd never make it. The ancient sources can't agree, and neither can we. This is the human heart of the whole story. Freedom was right there, over those mountains, and they turned away from it. Whether from loyalty, fear, or greed, it's the most tragically human decision in the tale, because from that moment, Rome finally sent the one man who would end it. His name was Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man in Rome, hungry for the military glory his money couldn't buy. He took command of Rome's response with a force of some 10 legions, and he intended to win at any cost. To terrify his own troops into fighting harder, Crassus revived an ancient and brutal punishment, decimation. A unit that had fled was made to draw lots, and one man in every 10 was beaten to death by his own comrades. Rome's soldiers now feared their general more than the enemy. Crassus drove the rebels into the far south of Italy. Spartacus struck a deal with pirates to ferry his people across to Sicily, a fresh start. They took his payment and sailed away without them. Betrayed, trapped against the sea, Spartacus was running out of options and time. Crassus tried to cage them, digging a wall and ditch across the toe of Italy to pen them in. On a snowy night, Spartacus forced his way through, but the end was closing in, and now a second Roman army, under Pompey, was marching back from Spain to join the hunt. Before the final battle, the sources tell us Spartacus did something extraordinary. He killed his own horse. If he won, he said, he'd have plenty of horses from the enemy. If he lost, he'd have no need of one. There would be no retreat. In 71 BC, near the river Silarus, the two forces met. Spartacus tried to cut his way through the entire Roman line to reach Crassus himself, and was cut down fighting, surrounded on his feet. Appian records a haunting detail. His body was never found among the dead. Rome's revenge was meant to be remembered. 6,000 captured survivors were crucified, one after another, along the Appian Way, the main road from Capua to Rome. A line of crosses stretching some 200 kilometers, Rome left them there so that every traveler for months would understand exactly what happened to slaves who dreamed of freedom. And there was one final insult. Pompey, arriving late, wiped out a group of fleeing survivors and then claimed he had truly ended the war, stealing the credit from Crassus. The men who crushed Spartacus spent the aftermath squabbling over his corpse's glory. Rome won. It always did. It erased his army and tried to erase his name. But here is what Rome could not do. It could not make us forget him. The empire that crucified 6,000 men is gone, dust and ash. And 2,000 years later, the name Spartacus still means one thing in every language on earth: the refusal to be owned. Spartacus almost certainly knew he could not win. Rome was too vast, too rich, too patient, and he fought anyway because there are things worth more than survival. Dignity, freedom, the simple, unkillable insistence that you are a person, not a thing. You will face people and systems that try to reduce you to something less than you are. You may not defeat them, but like that man with a kitchen knife on a quiet mountain, you always keep the one choice they can never take: who you decide to be. If his name still means something to you, stay a while in the gloom. There are more of these waiting. I'm Gideon, until the fire finds us again.